One more time. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's going on, bro?
If they could only see behind the scenes, they see us dancing. I'm good, man. How are you? Exactly, that's what it is. Music gets me hyped behind the scenes. I'm over here, Rocky Balboa mood. How you been, brother?
I've been good, dude. It has been a crazy couple of days. We had the summit a few weeks ago. I was still doing a bunch of stuff on the back end. I just did a crazy show that I got some people work with on for AOM was the big client. Big shout out to Ryan from Blackbird to hooking that up with me and some of the guys. That was an amazing show.
Nice.
And it's kind of what sparked tonight's conversation. So if you guys are out there, and if anybody, I'm going to show anyone wants to join Austin and me live here and kind of put your input in, not just be in the chats and that's showing you popping up here. I'll send the link out. Just let me know, hey, I want to join. I'll send you that link out publicly. You could join us here live and kind of really get your input in there and talk with us live instead of just in the chats. So I kind of want to change that up a little bit. But Austin, what about you, man? What have you been up to? I know you've been slammed. You've been doing late hour days.
Busy. I have been moving city to city and state to state.
Nice.
I've been nonstop, and thanks be to God. I'm happy to be out there. I'm happy to be able to take advantage of these opportunities, but also I'm so happy for tonight's conversation because also I've been able to network and also create opportunities for other technicians as well. So like you said, that's kind of what sparked tonight's conversation, the power
100%.
of networking and how and what happens or what can happen when we network and network properly, right? So
yeah, 100%. So I mean, I'll go back even just a little bit, just for anybody who's watching tonight who may be a little new to the program. This is the AV podcast side. Austin and me actually met in real life on a show right before the pandemic got really bad, and that's kind of how we came together and came up with this little brainchild here to give back to the community on the what we call the soft skills, which we believe are very important, as well as the hard skills, which we do the AV tech side. So Austin and me met in person, but the way we met was through another associate of ours, a gentleman named Scott, who kind of put together this thing. And again, we were collabing with him to figure out things, and then we met on site and we built this, right? So Austin and me met from a circle, and then we clicked and we did this, right? And now what I'm seeing is a lot of the guys that are staying busy are the ones that are doing not just these events, but doing the events that are educational, or these formats like the Zoom Test Kitchen, Office Hours, AV Tech Talks. There's a couple church ones I've been getting involved in. There's a VMix one with a guy named Ryan Perry that's out there. These little I don't know how to say these little educational forums, these Zoom meetings, these webinars, StreamYards, Restreams, all these kind of platforms people are talking on that are involving you are another way for you to network and to meet guys. And I would love to hear from the community, because I know, for example, Chris has done it, I've done it, Austin's done it here. Doing these kind of talks is how we've expanded our network, right?
Absolutely, 100%. And that's, again, going back to what you said earlier, when we talk about this being the soft side, I feel it's what people aren't paying attention to. But once we actually learn these skills and start developing, we see how easily they correlate with the hard skills and how much greater of an opportunity that they can provide for ourselves and our family. So.
No, 100%. And one of the things that's been kind of mind-blowing for me, right, is that when I started this, there's a gentleman, Jeff Keesley, for example. He's a fantastic associate of mine and friend now. I met through this, and then we met in person when he came to Florida to do a gig. He got me on a gig with him. We met in person. We hung out. We worked. We still communicate. He's been a great contributor to the AV Educate and AV Tech Talks team, big supporter of us. But without this is a gentleman that lives in Texas. I would never have met if it wasn't for what we do here and what we're doing. And I think that there's a plethora of ways to do that, right? There's LinkedIn, there's Facebook, there's Twitter, there's Instagram. And if I'm missing any, let me know, guys, in the chats here, and I'll put them up there. Those are the kind of the ones that I'm involved in. I wouldn't say Twitter so much. I'm really bad at Twitter. But I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. I have a Facebook page, a group. I have a personal account. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on a couple other pages that I don't really follow too much, and I'm on Instagram, which is kind of a playground for me because I just post things that I like. Like, oh, this is cool. I did this. This is cool. Whatever. But again, those are all ways to get out there, and also ways to connect and gain resources, right?
Okay. So I want to touch base on what you just said, and maybe do you have a real life experience that you can talk about? Maybe something that you possibly posted, or someone reached out to you on any one of these social media networks where you were posting something and something became of it. Maybe you have a backstory so that people could tap into what you're talking about.
Oh man, so I don't have an exact, but actually no, I do. So we're on Discord as well. I wasn't going to mention it, but we're on Discord. And Discord for me, because of the AV Educate platform, and because of that, a lot of the people that are in there are really producers, event planners, production owners, labor coordinators, and they'll go in there once in a while and they'll post stuff, and I'll just, hey, yeah, what do you need? You know what's going on? Same thing. There's another Slack channel with Temple Live Events that I'm on. They post things all the time there as well. That's got job stuff. On LinkedIn, I see constantly right now job openings, job offerings, labor positions coming out, which pre-pandemic seemed a little sketchy. And sometimes the rates are hit or miss, but you got to kind of go down the rabbit hole to figure that out. But those have been times where I've gained stuff, and then from doing these talks and meeting people, and kind of, you know what it is, man, it's sorry, it just dawned on me. You know what it kind of is that when you do these talks and you talk to people, they get an insight into your actual experience, because you can't fake it. You can't fake some of these things, right? If I talk about an LED wall, for example, or projection, which is like kind of what I do a lot of stuff on, people know, oh, Omar knows projection. Omar knows that he can go off on a tangent, right? That's what happens when I talk about these things a lot. So I'm going to refrain from doing it here. But those types of conversations, when I do them, I get hit up constantly. Hey, you seem knowledgeable. You know what you're talking about. You know what you're doing. I'd love to put you on a show. I have some stuff coming up, or just, hey, here's my email. Put me. Let's get in contact. I'd love to give you some work down the road. It's a way for you to express your passion as well as your skill set by being knowledgeable. And the people that understand those things, they're going to reach out and they're going to connect with you, because it's something you couldn't do before, right? Like prior to this, it was you going to a job site, right? If you were hopefully in a lead position, you were there for a couple of days, and then you would sit down with the guys or the gals, or whatever, the team. You sit down with the team, and you would talk, and you would, oh, hey, I like this guy. I never met him before, and you lucked out that you met this person, because of it. Now it's on steroids now, right? Now I can go online, literally go to almost any Zoom conversation and meet a whole new circle of people in a whole other sector that's still within what I do, but just different circle of people, and connect with them and work and network and reach out and expand my reach for work, right? And then I can meet, and we've done talks with people who are business owners, right? That's like, hey, let me get your email. Oh, cool. Hey, we did this talk. Hey, you were great. I'd love to work with you one day. Here's my information. Put me on your freelancer list, right? Or put me in your Rolodex, or I'd love to work for you. Do you have any positions opening? That is literally how easy this is now, because we cannot do this in person anymore. So now this virtual kind of handshaking and talking and meeting is completely a thing, and it's become acceptable to be part of that. And I think beyond that random comment you post somewhere, right? Like, oh yeah, you posted something here, whatever. Unless you're a consistently posting guy that does memes or something funny where your name pops up and you're, hey, I kind of remember you for XYZ. But this is another way to put a face to a name. So now it's like, oh, I see Omar popped up here. I don't really know that guy is, but he posts a lot of stuff. But now you put a face to a name, like, oh, you know what? Hey, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's done a lot of XYZ. I want to hire this guy. And it's literally an email gets sent out, and I've had that happen to me. I've gotten emails or text messages, and obviously you can reach me a ton of different ways. Yeah. So I'm constantly talking to people like WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, Messenger, Discord, emails. I have multiple email accounts, so it's like I'm getting multiple different, personal, business, projection, video, AV Educate, and I'm organizing all that in my brain, and then hey, if we're doing this, let's talk on this platform so it's easier for me, or whatever. But yeah, that's happened to me a lot, and I feel like some people are missing the mark on that. Like, they're just not seeing that opportunity or potential. Like, yeah, I came here, I hung out, I showed my face, I talked. But did you afterwards say, you know what, this guy I was talking to did really good? And a lot of these guys that on the AV Educate, on the AV Tech Talk side, a lot of the guys that we talk with and do these events with, immediately afterwards are getting emails and letters from people saying, hey, I'd love to work with you, or hey, I got this thing for you, or XYZ. I mean, kind of always my example here, but we brought Chris in from a totally different industry, brought him into our world. He networked here. He reached out to people. Hey, you're a labor coordinator. Da, da, da. Oh, hey, here's my information. I'd love to connect with you. And he just got busy. He got so busy that he was sending out availability reports. He stopped sending it out because he was getting too booked. I like to. LOL plus Unity and Signal. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, so that's my experience. I don't know if you had anything similar, Austin.
No. So you hit on a lot of good points. One of the things that I actually wanted to touch base on is I don't think that people realize, like you said, the power of the platform and what it can create for them. I actually heard a sidebar conversation. I don't even know the text, but they mentioned something like, why would I take all my knowledge and go online and just give it away to everyone? And now when the opportunity is presenting itself, I'm losing a chance or I'm losing an opportunity. And I wanted to interject, but it wasn't my place, it wasn't my position, it wasn't my conversation. But my thought process immediately shifted, and I said, what I have noticed is the people who is out there, who's out there pouring out of themselves continuously, like yourself, like Ed Willock, like Bodie, the guys who's constantly educating the community around there. Maybe they don't know everything about everything, but what they know and they specialize in, they're constantly putting that information, that knowledge out. They're actually looked at as leaders in the industry now. So guess what? When someone is hiring, they're coming to those guys because you know what? This guy's is the one he's a forward thinker. He puts out his thought process. He's out there educating guys. I can look at him as a leader. I know that I can put him on show site. And that's what I have noticed has been making the difference. But that all goes within the power of networking. I have no idea who this guy is, but I'm seeing him out there putting forth education every single day. I can build trust just because off of his relation. I like what he's doing for the community out there. I can tell that he's knowledgeable, that he knows his things, that he's skilled. I can tell he's educated, whatever the case is. But putting yourself out there, that's all part of networking. Who are you out there helping?
Yeah, and what's been really cool too is, and anybody who's listening here, if you guys ever on a show with me, please reach out. I love to have these side conversations. I'm kind of antisocial, but reach out to me anyways. Any ideas, any topics, let me know. Or if you want to be on the show, I'm an ideas man. I promise you, we have a conversation for a little bit. I will have an idea for you to jump on the show with us. All you got to do is say yes, and we'll throw you on here. Austin will be like, yeah, I got you, bro. No worries about it.
Make it happen.
Yeah, just hit us up. We're always looking for talkers. And the other thing too is that what's been one of the most amazing parts of all this, right, has been not only the community and the love I've received. When I first started this, there was a lot of negative for it. And now some of that's changed to positive, and then I've been receiving love from the community, and I really, really, really appreciate that, and I love hearing that feedback. Trust me, it motivates me to continue this project. However, one of the things that I've really come to realize with everything we've done here, not even just on the podcast side and the AV Tech Talk side, is that I'm constantly learning information from other more experienced people, and they're my go-to now when like, hey, I had this problem. I remember we did this talk, and he said this. Let me reach out to him real quick, see, because I'm for some reason. Right, I'm like prime example. We did a show for, the I want to say the Samurais. We did a show, and we had done a Show Ninja, a little recording thing. This little box. It's got a monitor. Super great product. Very very big in the indie kind of broadcasting side of the industry or the production side with like music videos and filming and all that stuff. The next show that I was on had one, and no one knew how to use it. And I was like, oh, I just did a class on this. I have an idea of how to use this, but I remember from what was said, okay, you click here, you can do this. So I knew what it could do. And from that, I was able to kind of troubleshoot my way into figuring it out. Was I best? Hell no. I had the forethought and the knowledge, right? Or not forethought, but I had the knowledge of like how it's supposed to run and how you plug into it and get it to record and what's supposed to happen. Yeah, I was. And I was the only guy on site because I did a show, and it's like, it was that simple. I wasn't the expert, but I learned it, and I got some hands-on with it. And then at the next 3 days, I was in charge of it because I was the only one who could really operate it. Not that it's crazy hard or anything, and not that anybody else could figure it out. But because I had seen him do it and we did a demo on it and kind of had to Q&A on it, I was able to very quickly and confidently say, hey, I have a general idea. Give me a couple minutes with it, and I'll see if I can get it working for you. And they said, yeah, no problem. I got it working within a few minutes, obviously. Well, what I needed to get working, right? I got the format, I got the audio, the video in there, and I got to hit the record. Again, not very hard, but no one knew how to use it, so they kind of were hesitant. And I was like, well, we did something on this, so I have something on it. Now, is that the same as saying, oh, we did a class on Malume, let me jump on Malume? Hell no. Mm-hmm. But Central Control is a great example too, right? We did a class on Central Control. I downloaded it, I played with it a little bit. I had general knowledge. It does way more than we did, and we should probably do another talk on that, to be honest. But it does way more than what we covered. We got the basis on it. He's got other versions that came out since then, and it's a fantastic program. I would have never known about that program had I not done the talk with it. I would have been like, oh yeah, Stream Deck and Companion, or Stream Deck and Elgato. But Central Control changed the game, and it's because we did a talk on it. We got to meet him, the actual creator of it, who is also a tech in industry, also does shows in industry, uses this program, so he's tested it, he's demoed it, he's revised it, updated it. Like, he's the guy. You call tech support, he's the guy, and he's fixing stuff for you on the fly within like 24, 48 hours. He's giving you an update. And he's gotten tons of people that are great at it. And again, that's the power of networking, right? Me and him talk once in a blue moon. We talked a lot at the beginning. We were, we were close, but listen, the guy's doing great things. He's got a girl now. He's busy doing his life. Give him a space, right? but yeah, so that's my kind of experience, what we've been doing. And I think I want to hear from you guys. Are you guys experiencing the same things? Are you guys seeing that? Are you guys doing that? And if you're not, why not? This is what I want to know. And again, just real quick, before Austin takes over and talks way better than me, I posted the link there. If you guys, honestly, if you want to jump in, the link is there. Jump in with us and chat with us live.
No, I was going to say something that's slightly off topic, but still on topic. Is what I noticed is that even in just the AV Educate Facebook community, that there has been job postings as recent as this week. Did you notice that?
Yeah, no, 100%.
And we're talking in different cities throughout the U.S. So obviously, we show you the power of networking, what we're doing from right here and home base, how far it's gone out. You've seen our reach, how far the trajectory of what we're doing has been capable of achieving. But here we are saying, okay, well, I just know this guy because he posted something. I heard this guy speak about something. I heard this guy educating on something. And I know that the people who's tapping in this community have a growth mindset. They all want to grow because here they are educating themselves. In the middle of the pandemic, when people could be doing God knows whatever, they're here educating themselves. There's work, they're out there working, and then they're here asking and educating. And that's what it's all about. Those are the type of people that people want on their team. Like I said, there's been numerous job postings I've seen, I think, Columbus. I've seen like South Carolina. I think I've seen something in Phoenix. I mean, it's all over. So the opportunities are constantly out there. So you don't have to be a speaker right here in our home base. If you got education, to come on the podcast now, or if you have something that you want to pour out into the community, feel free to share it. We want to have more leaders in the community.
100%. Yeah, and if honestly, we're also looking for more hosts. If you guys want to host an AV podcast or AV Tech Talks, you guys want to be in charge of it, hit us up, man. We're all about it. But so yeah, I got a text I think today or yesterday for a gig up in Tampa. Like, they're looking for people. I got a text message about it. I got an email about it. And I got a call for it, and I was like, "Hey, I don't want to go to Tampa with those dates." So, text somebody else. And it's not that I don't need the work. I obviously I need the work. I need to work, but the dates didn't line up, and I wouldn't be able to do the podcast. I mean, I wouldn't be able to do AV Tech Talks, and I got commitments to you guys, and I want to commit to that. And I know lately it's been a little different, and we're full transparency, we're updating some things and changing things around to hopefully provide a better, more robust AV Educate program that kind of gives you more. All right. But we need to expand a little bit. So we're bringing people on board to help us do more essentially. And we're at a good point where a lot of the content's pre-made, pre-created, and the ideas are there. It's just getting people to step up. And that's a big thing for us. But anyways, back to the networking, right? Again, I want to hear from you guys out there. If you're not doing this, what are you doing? How did you expand from what you were doing prior to the pandemic till now? And what are you doing to continue that expansion? Are you guys going to these little meetings and jumping in there? Are you guys going to these, the AV Tech Talks, the AV podcast? Are you going to the test kitchen? Are you going to office hours? Are you really jumping into those things? And I'll give it a second for the community to respond. We got time. I still got 30 something minutes, almost 40 minutes, but we got time, people. I see Amanda's in here tonight. Look, Amanda's saying, I'm doing great. I love the education of opportunities AV creates. I'm looking forward to more. Thank you for that, Amanda. Iris Solomon, are you here? Oh, Iris is always here. I mean, she's maybe not tonight, which is okay. She's doing a career change, but we are already in talks with her because she's going to go to this university to really be involved in what's going on. And Iris is a great person. She does hotel AV. She was in charge of a property with PSAV and national assistant to the look. And we got Jeff just popped in here. Jeff came in. I talked about Jeff a little earlier. I don't know if you heard about that, and that's what your ears were ringing and you came in. But Jeff and me met through these type of talks, and that's how this networking works. Jeff and me would never have probably met if it wasn't for these types of talks. And I got to work with Jeff and learn from Jeff. Jeff's mad genius, in my opinion, in a good way. Jeff, in a good way, you're a mad genius. But Jeff is a constant face on our show. He does a lot for us. He's definitely gone above and beyond and asked very little in return. He's got work for us. He's put us on a bunch of different scenarios, and he's been amazing. And again, we met because of these opportunities where we get to network and kind of really be involved in what's going on. And I want to hear from you guys out there. What are you doing to connect now or to continue connecting?
Have you done anything sidebar outside of the podcast itself, or I would say outside of the AV Educate community, so to speak, that you feel has been substantial for you? And let's say we have a technician out there who may be an introvert, so they don't want to put themselves out there, but they're out there. Do you have any advice for one of those guys? What could they do in terms of going out there to network, to create more opportunities, to meet more people?
That's a good question, man. I don't know if I have the answer for that. So the old way was what we talked about a couple minutes ago, right? The old way was to go to a show site, meet people, network with them, talk to them, exchange information, and back and forth. One of the things that I've done since the beginning of my career, because I'm second generation, is I found a small niche of guys that I enjoy working with, or people that I enjoy working with.
Okay.
And I will, who are either my skill set or better, right? And I will transfer stuff to them. So if I can't do a show, whatever, I'll tell my client, hey, can you, if I can't do these dates, here's some contacts, and vice versa. They'll do that. Now,
yes, sir.
Some people go the extra mile and they form companies where they merge together and they really start to connect. And they kind of, it's a tag team. Like, hey, you hire AV Educate, and you're going to either get X, Y, Austin, Bodie, Ed, or Chris. And there's a discussion about that when the hiring process happens. But hey, I'm going to hit these guys. I'm going to get one of these 4. They're all super talented. I can always rely on this company. And that's how this works. So that was the kind of old way and the way to improve on that stuff. Now, what we did during the pandemic was we expanded that and went online, and we connected people in a bunch of different regions and area codes. There's some people that I've met that I work with that I talk to offline. I probably won't get to work with them because they're in the UK or India.
Yes, that is so true.
Right. But if I did some virtual stuff, there's some stuff I can bring them in because they're worth it. I know they're knowledgeable. I've seen their stuff. And there's also vice versa. Hey, you have a show out in that in the UK or in, hit up these guys. They could probably help you out better than I can because they're local, right? They have more of that infrastructure.
Yes, sir. And I think that's what people don't realize, how far the outreach really goes with the power of the internet, that it's not really ballroom based. But to me, what I've noticed as the downside is if we don't really pay attention to what we're doing in terms of the power of networking, that these relationships, quote unquote, can be pretty shallow. If we're just reaching out there to see what's in it for me, what's in it for me, what's in it for me, and we're not really tapping into to what's out there and providing and giving value and bringing value to the marketplace, honestly, I don't feel that we're really building relationships. And that's the most important part of networking to me. But so there is a catch-22. Yes, on the internet, we can get a much greater outreach and everything, but those relationships can become a lot more shallow if we don't take time to nurture them. So that's my thought on it.
100%. And sorry, guys, if you see my eyes darting everywhere, I'm looking at multiple things. I'm trying to just look at you guys, but I got to do a bunch of stuff at the same time. So I apologize if you see my kind of eyes darting everywhere. So Amanda asked, who inspired you guys to start in AV? Austin, I'll let you go first, brother.
Who inspired me to start? Actually, one of them, Ursel Abbott. Ursel Abbott was one of the first guys who said, hey, you try your hand at this. And we go way back from the point where I was involved in music and I was into audio engineering. I had my own recording studio from the time I was in high school. And when I later on in life transitioned, Ursel started saying, hey, let me do some recording. So we were working together behind the scenes. But all these years I've been working in the corporate world, my 9 to 5 that I wish was a 9 to 5. He's been building his business, doing his thing inside of the audiovisual industry. And he's been saying, hey, come on, man. And he brought me out and he said, I know I can put you in this audio position because I know you know this. So go ahead, tackle this. And I said, this is a different ball game, man. I love this. I said, I'm not going back, bro. And I was head over heels for it. So
that was a great question. So for me, it was simple. I guess I always say second, but it's probably more like third generation. My father owns an AV company in South Florida called Media Stage Inc. My brother is also an AV in Puerto Rico. He does more of the union/production side for movies and stuff. And I am the youngest of 4, essentially. And I stayed in the path of that and did AV because I was around it all the time, right? My dad has an office. I was always there. I was hanging out. I fell in love with it. Did it in school for 4 years in college. I did it in high school a little bit, kind of learning about it more, besides what I learned from my father. And then I did theater production in my school, which is now gone now, but I did theater production for 4 years, and I did TV production for 4 years. I always chose that as an elective. The last 2 years, I became the head of that department, essentially, because the teachers knew me and they knew I loved what I was doing. And then my last year there, I was running full-time, got a thespian award, got a production award from something for high school. For theater, I was running the theater department, doing tons of overtime. I graduated this whole thing for a ton of overtime. The only one in my class, graduating class, who got it. And then I did a Friday. Every Friday, I had a show go out, and I was constantly after hours editing content on Final Cut Pro. So it was like it was a great time. And I got to really just play with stuff and learn and experiment because there was no right or wrong because we were students. So like no one really cared as long as lights came on and something came out. That's all that really mattered. So the pressure was super low, which was great. But that's how I kind of got involved. And my dad encouraged it. His office was about an hour walk. So I'd finish school and just walk to his office and then hang out there with him. And my uncle does this as a lighting engineer. So my family on the male side is definitely in this industry, and I just love it. I grew up with it, so that's kind of how I got into this. And I got some stuff going. Sorry, I don't know if I went off on a tangent here.
No, you were good. You were deep into it, but I was paying attention. I'm like, man, Omar is I thought it was second generation. I thought it was your dad and yourself. I didn't realize that it went back further. I didn't realize that it went wider in terms of your uncle, your family is in it. It's a family business.
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say it, not as far as my dad, but yeah, it kind of is a family business, and I'm proud of that because I have a good resource, right?
Of course.
Who to contact, who to reach out to, and because of that initial, he paved the way for me. So now a lot of times I mention his name or his partner's name, and people are like, hey, come on in, welcome. So it makes what I do a little easier, which is another reason why I try to give back so much, right? Because I know that I came into this industry a little bit ahead of the game because I had someone who kind of paved the way for me. So I want to give back as much as I can because I don't want to, the one thing I do the most, and you guys have noticed, I try not to mention his name. The one thing I try to do the most is I try not to live in the shadow of him. I try to, do better so that when you do figure out who he is and who I am, it's like, oh shit, no. But Omar knows his stuff. It's not just because this, his father. He's his own man. He knows his stuff. He's not in the shadows of him. It's not like, oh, he just got the job because his dad. Like that guy. No, it's one of those. I never wanted to be one of those scenarios, and I always want to make sure that when the connection was made that people are like, oh, no, he knows what he's talking about. So, but Albert here has got some comments going on here. I'm going to throw up here real quick. One of the things that I like most about when I work is that they give you the opportunity to learn and grow as much as you want at your own pace. Teamwork is big. We learn from one another. I too like surrounding myself with subject matter experts. That's fantastic. So Albert, I got a question for you if you don't want to jump in here. Now that shows are coming back, do you feel like you're the expert and the people you're working for are not, and they're like the new guys that are learning? Or do you still feel that you're still working around enough people that you are still learning from people above you who you respect? And I'll leave that question for you, and I'll go to the next one. Amanda here says, what Austin's music? Can you sing? You gotta create a cool theme song for this. Oh, I like this. You gotta create a theme song. What's going on there?
Well, I definitely can write music, but I think if I sing on this podcast, it will be the end of this podcast. So I'm gonna spare y'all. But I'm gonna spare y'all.
All right. So that's in the works. That's in the works.
You see how quickly he works?
I like it. So we got another one here too, and we just had someone pop in here, and which I'll bring up in just a moment. I see you. So Alberto says, I tuned in thinking this talk was about networking, but because that's what I'm trying to learn more about. But this type of networking is also as essential for learning and career advancement. 100% agree. Alberto, here's the great thing. You guys drive these conversations, man. If we're going off tangents to the wrong part of the networking, you let us know what you want to learn about or talk about, and we'll redirect ourselves to that path. I think networking is a big topic, and I know the words sometimes that I use don't cover everything, but like for example, and I'll go back a second here before I bring in our Laura Massey, who just popped in here. LinkedIn is used great for businesses, right? It's owned by Microsoft. Facebook is great for what we do for socializing and learning. LinkedIn has its own learning platform. There's other platforms that are out there. I would love to know if anybody who knows of other than Navy Educate. Hopefully I'm going to be big enough for that. But does anybody know of another platform that you can learn from, right? I know manufacturers have their own courses. Udemy has some stuff that people are making. But has anybody heard anything specifically for the corporate AV rental staging network side? I see a message came here, but it's blank. So I'm going to skip that one. And then Mark Barron, and then we'll bring in our guest. Networking is super important, should be well maintained throughout one's career. Always keep professional relationships. That's super important right there, right? I can't jump in these conversations just yet because I'm transitional period back to a freelance market, but I wanted to emphasize the maintenance of the networking relationships. Even if you're in a period of loyalty to select clients, one must stay in touch with old/new clients and colleagues in the industry. I'm going to jump in there, and I'll let you, Austin. I know you got some.
No. I was saying that it's powerful. He hit the nail on the head. Go ahead.
So when I was the director of a company in Orlando for a while, I kept in contact with my older clients. And when I left that company, it took about 2-3 months before I reached anybody out. But I did say, hey, I'm freelancing again. If you need me, let me know what's going on. Immediately got booked. So what he said is super powerful, super important, and works a lot. And then the connections that you do make, just being sociable and like checking in, hey, what's going on? What's up? Those things alone are powerful, and they really just make you relevant to people, right? You don't just fade away as, oh, I work for this guy who's great, but whatever. Being personable is huge in our industry and networking. Iris is laughing here. I hope that's not for what I just said. No, I'm just kidding. It's probably not. The time frames are way off here. I think networking, if you don't ask, you don't get. That's a good point there. Oh, here we go. Iris, Avixia has some classes on various subjects. Avixia is a very good organization. And I now will bring in our third speaker. Hey.
Hey.
Goodness, how are y'all?
I'm good. How you been?
I have been entirely too busy, but that's a good thing, right?
That is a good thing. That is actually a fantastic thing.
Yeah, I would agree. I will jump right on in with this. So networking is actually one of my favorite things that I don't get to do as often anymore. But it's so important. And I think that the world that we're living in, it helps lend itself to the being able to reach out to way more people than you would have before. I think Omar mentioned that earlier. I actually on LinkedIn, I use that quite a bit because in my role as production manager, I'm constantly trying to make sure that we're showcasing like things that I've done, things that I've helped with, things that I've produced when I was in that role as well. And it's just to showcase, hey, look what I can do, but also what I can do for you. It's partially selfish, but also it's partially like I want it to be I want you to see what I can do for you. It's always I try to frame it in that mind frame of like, how can I help you? What problems are you having that I can assist with? Or maybe it's something that I'm not entirely sure about, and then I can reach out to other contacts that I have as well. And it's an ever evolving circle of just being able to talk to people, and especially on LinkedIn. I think I'll go back to that is it's really cool because you're not limited to just the people that you know. LinkedIn like works in circles. So I'll see like if, for example, I'll throw my friend Danny out there. Danny's connected to someone. He'll like one of their posts or what have you. Because I'm connected to Danny, I'm now seeing that post from this person that I don't necessarily know myself, but I can look into that page and see what they're doing. And I might reach out to that person. I've had people reach out to me. Like, it's one of those things, don't be shy about reaching out to people, because you never know, like if you can form a connection and where it might go, what you guys might do later on.
No, that was fantastic. And you bring up a good point about LinkedIn. LinkedIn is becoming more and more of kind of a centralized zone for us in AV world. But again, the part that you read that I thought was the most important was that LinkedIn is an algorithm that puts you in that circle, right? And you kind of stay within the same people. You see the same posts, the same feeds, the same content kind of over and over again. Without these types of conversations, you don't get to meet other people outside of this. And that's what I find very powerful. And I was trying to find a good way to express that so people could resonate with it, because I think it is kind of hard sometimes and challenging to jump on a lot of these calls because there's tons of them going on right now. But sometimes getting on to one or two or three of these and just being a little present here and there and popping on every once in a while really helps people understand, well, first off, who you are. So when they see you, like, oh, hey, I remember you. And two, it broadens their network right now. So it's like, Laura, you and me met on a job site in person. You did a show with us in the past, which was fantastic, about virtual show calling. And you're jumping on here now with us because you see the value in this, and because we've worked together, right? And if it wasn't for that networking, there's other people from this you wouldn't have met, because you're like, oh, I don't know what that is. You learned about it, you networked with, you talked to people in the industry, and you grew your network exponentially because of something that you did on the side, right? Just doing what you love.
It's that, and having this connection has also helped with if you check out the articles for AVE, you learn about some pretty cool apps. I'm just putting it out there, you know.
So I want to go back here, and Laura, I'll have you answer this one here. Networking equals dollars and influence when matched with knowledge and gain and great work ethics. What do you think about that?
I mean, can you put it back up? Hold on.
Oh, sorry. Give me 2 seconds.
Reading, Omar.
I'm sorry. Here we go.
Networking equals dollars and influence when matched with knowledge. And okay, yes. So that is definitely part of it. And I'm going to hone in on especially that last part. Knowledge is huge. We always want to make sure that we should always be thirsty for knowledge. Like, even if you feel like you are a subject matter expert already, there's always going to be something else, especially with our industry. Everything's always changing. You could be subject matter expert today, and then all of a sudden there's an update. You now are no longer the subject matter expert. Somebody else might be, because they developed that piece. So always make sure that you know what you're doing, and you're looking for that, because it might not just come to you. We're always needing to be searching for that next step that we can take to make sure that we are on top of everything. And that goes hand in hand with that great work ethic, because realistically, I could come home and be like, you know what, my job is done. It was pretty good. I'm all set. But that's not gonna help me get any further moving down, and that doesn't essentially add to my worth. You know, like my value to the company. My value is going to stay the same if I'm not reaching for that next step. So I agree.
And it's funny. I felt like you were totally talking about Zoom now. every time they do an update, I'm like, where did they put this now? This has changed. So I want to bring in our next pop in here. Scott Monroe is a good friend of us and me. We met in person a couple of times, or we've worked together. We met in person. There's a question, Scott. I'm gonna have you just jump in here. Sorry. There's a question that just came up, Scott, from Amanda here that I thought you would be actually the perfect person to answer this. Looking for opportunities to help or grow above and beyond on site makes a huge difference on the impression you leave. It networks for you. And what would you have to say about that?
Sorry, I'm trying to catch up to you here, but look.
I got the Latin side. I gotta slow it down a little bit.
Okay. Wow. Hey, Amanda, how you doing? Austin, love the haircut, bud.
Oh, come on, man. Come on. We're going to the same barber these days.
Hey, Laura, how you doing?
I'm so good. How are you?
No, outstanding. Had another wonderful day. Glad to be here. But hey, yeah, no, I was on Facebook answering a few texts and stuff, and I noticed I heard this word networking. I saw Austin speak. I said, you know what, I better jump into this because this is going to be good. But networking, absolutely vital, especially nowadays, folks. I can tell you that right now. Some of the best practices for networking, one of the things is exactly what AV Educate's doing. It seems to be working very well for a lot of people I know. Those of you that know me in the AV world, I started the GDN, and I think we had about 1,000 members in there now, which is a huge networking group. And then I'm also into local area marketing or local marketing, where I have a network group there of about 2,000 people. And that's where I started really focusing on during the pandemic was, get into these groups. And, like Omar was saying earlier, they grow all over the place. And, I have marketing folks I deal with all over the United States as well as Europe. And it's just really cool to have all of those different, I call mentors. And you know anything about the GDN, I'm really big on mentorship. And Austin and I have some pretty long conversations about that, knowing that, hey, it's great to have a mentor, but it's even better to have many mentors, because one of the things that Austin and I talk about is, hey, you could have a mentor who, kind of has this view of his or her life that they've grown up. Maybe they're 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, and, they've had one point of view and they're telling you their point of view. But also having multiple mentors gives you multiple points of view. And that's the beauty, in my opinion, of networking, is you get all these different points of views, but more importantly, you build all these relationships. I heard that word mentioned several times, and those of you that know me, that relationships are key in my world. I depend very heavily on relationships to even exist in this world, because Omar has more technical knowledge in his little pinky than I've got in my whole body. But if it wasn't for relationships and networking, I probably wouldn't be here today, to be honest with you. And I've been able to survive in this industry, I think 16, 17 years. And I think one of the masters of networking is sitting right next to Omar there is Austin. If you had any opportunity to talk with Austin at any length on a personal level, not through Zoom, you understand just how well he understands the networking game. And if you watch how he operates and Omar operates, is they listen intently to what you say. And they will even pick out little key things and they'll write them down on what you say, and they will revisit those things to check for understanding. And that really helps them build their network as they try to develop that connection and relationship with people by listening to them. Actually, it's a really cool phenomenon if you just sit down and listen. And listening is one of the key principles in how to win friends and influence people. But I love the way they do it. They build their relationships and their network by being genuinely interested in people. I don't think I covered the answer to the question because I really didn't understand the question. But if I didn't, can somebody clarify it for me to make sure I get it on target?
No, I think you did good, Scott. I think you covered it well. Honestly, you did great. And I mean, Ricardo Hicks even said, "Yes, sir." Relationships. I mean, that's what it's about. And thank you for the kind words. Yeah, you're better. I was gonna say, I'm trying to I think I'm horrible about communication.
Scott always says a phrase, and I think it goes in well with this, Scott, if you don't mind. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's why I talk about the value of relationships, where not with the what's in it for me, but what is the value that I'm really bringing to the marketplace. And you talk about taking notes and listening, but listening is the main part of communication that I feel that the majority of us miss. So when we listen, we must listen intently, and we listen with an intent to understand, not looking for an opportunity to reply. So you want to make sure that it's effective communication and that is the baseline for growing your relationships. So I love what you brought, Scott.
Thank you, Austin. Appreciate it. But I think that's key, Austin, is, one of my 1-minute videos on a GDN is kind of sharing that whole communication process. A lot of times we are so eager to get our point across to people that we don't let them finish their thought process, let alone their sentence. And that, to me, that's really difficult. If I'm trying to communicate to Austin, and if he wants to interrupt me in the middle of it, then I kind of lose track, and I wonder if he even understood anything I said. So that's one of the things that some of these business owners are telling me, is that the kids that are coming, I say kids, okay, I can say kids because I'm 58 years old, sorry. The young folks, sorry, more politically correct. The young folks coming out of college nowadays, or even not in college, they're really lacking in communication skills. With all due respect, because I do it too, this is how we communicate most of the time. And even my son, I have a 20-year-old son. If I want to talk to him, I got to text him. Okay, all right. But what we're losing in terms of networking is that ability to communicate with people when we do that. And if you want to communicate, it's a two-way street. Yes, you're sending the message, but then it has to be received on the other end. And then when you receive it, then if you acknowledge it, that gives the sender the illusion, if you will, that you're actually paying attention to them, and that starts developing that bond and that connection. But when you're trying to talk over each other and advocate your point, if you kind of watched any of our ex-presidents, the orange guy, if you watched any of his debates, he cut you off all the time, cut you off. Nobody was communicating. What kind of relationship did he build? Not too many.
That is a fact. And I will, if I can actually circle back also to, I think it was Amanda's question about the on-site networking and everything. A big thing that, especially when I first started at Edge Factory, that I was always told was, wow, you seem to be able to get everyone to like work together and work with you really easily. Like, how do you do it? And I thought it was really funny because I looked at them and I was like, well, guys, I'm just nice. I am nice to everyone. I introduce myself. I let them know what I'm doing, and I set up expectations, and then we go from there. And Omar will tell you, he's worked with me. I think I'm pretty good at trying to communicating what I need and communicating that if that's not what's happening, we're going to have some conversations. And it's not that I'm not nice at that point. It's that then I have to get a little more stern, and I have to really step into that. Like, okay, well, this is now a problem and we have to solve it. But it's still like you have to just treat people as human beings. And I think they'll respect you so much more. And that'll go so much further as far as building that relationship super fast. Because when we're on site, we're there for maybe a few days. And we have so much that we have to get done. And it's got to get done efficiently for the client, for ourselves, for everyone. And it's not going to happen if you're butting heads with all of your team. All of your teams being like your own teams, AV teams, the hotel teams. We have to be able to work with everyone. And that definitely goes into Scott's point of being able to effectively communicate without it being combative or defensive or anything like that. Like you have to come into everything more so with an open mind. And like, we are here. Our common goal is we're working and we're putting this show on and we're taking it down, and it's going to happen within these times. And that's communication and relationships are just absolutely crucial for on-site. And if you can pull all of that together, then absolutely you'll have a great relationship with people on site. I made friends with people that I worked with on site, like union workers, foremen and everything, because they were just like, man, you're so cool. It's like, yeah, I know. And I didn't even have to use this box cutter ever. It was just awesome.
Trust me, I feel like making friends in this industry is one thing that creates opportunities, if nothing else. And I think you should bring back up that comment by Ricardo. Exactly. A relationship, a text message from a person that I hadn't spoke to in 4 years in April of 2020 turned into the start of virtual production and of 7 figures of gross revenue. This client felt that if anyone could figure out virtual production, it would be our company. They were the first virtual production client, and the rest is history. Relationships and networking. This is what we're talking about. Tell me what it is that you're doing with your time that this is too important that you're not creating 7 figures of gross revenue of income for yourself. What's more important?
100%. And I'll bring up something here because we got about less than 10 minutes left here, but there's been a conversation going on here in the chat. I'm trying to figure out the start of it, but it's about digital, and I'm seeing like a mix of information. But so I'll go on Mark's here. I'm still old school to a degree. I hand out my business card in person, verbally, or punch in someone's info in the mobile device. But I would like to transition into a one-touch digital card or a QR code to transfer into quickly, or blast out an email. Speed and ease can be a factor while factoring or traveling. And I know I'm getting us a little bit off topic. I just want to make sure we cover these guys' questions. And what I want to say is, if you're old school or you're trying to do a digital thing, and I think Alberto brought up here, and the original started off with saying, I don't have a digital business card yet, but I feel that the direction we are headed is in this new environment. Here's something that I think is easy for everybody. And just on what Scott mentioned earlier, if you got a cell phone, all right, when you share your name, close to what Austin said and Laura just said, when you share your information, right, that networking, your information should have all your business stuff in there. Should have your business email, the name you have, some generic stuff to find if you have any web page like that. That should be in there so that when I share Omar Coloma, Austin Jackson, Laura Matt, or Scott, when I share my number to you and say, hey, save my information, and I send you that stuff, it should all populate there so that when they look you up, they have your email, they have your phone numbers. If you have multiple numbers or you have multiple emails, they should have all that information. That's an easy way to do that so that you're sorry, my hands are making this out of focus. You're expanding, right, your network, and you're able to do that effectively without having to do anything new and creative, right? It's still digital, and it's still the information's there for them to use if they want to. But again, what Austin said at the beginning is the most important part is that you have to connect and share that friendship, and you have to talk and have relationships. I mean, Ricardo has been on our show before. He had a great talk about what he's done, and that what Austin just went on about that whole, look, 4 years, and all of a sudden they're making money. Like, that's how powerful that is, to just stay in contact, be nice, be good. Back to what Laura was saying a little bit earlier. What she didn't mention is that she's super pre-pro. So like, she comes in organized and kind of leaves it in your plate. So if you're a tech who's competent, and Laura's like, hey, here's the show, here's the timeline, here's what I need done, here's all the information, here's all the content, and it's not done, she has a right to get mad at you because she gave you what you needed. All right? So she comes in happy because she's like, I gave you everything you needed. You didn't tell me anything was wrong, so we're going to have a good day. But she comes in, obviously, ahead of time, gets everything prepped up, make sure she's good to go. And that's something that is not always possible, but Laura does that very well. It's one of the reasons I like working with her so much. Sorry, Laura.
What happens if it doesn't get cracks?
No,
Look.
You just get that Latin look like you.
Yeah, exactly.
And then something in the background has to happen where like Scott's getting a phone call like, don't bring this guy back here. He did fine until this point.
No, it's definitely, so I started my career at working with Disney. So I'm very much of that mindset of, if something's going wrong, I don't have time to have feelings about it right now because we need a solution. We got to fix this. It's like, I'm not going to be happy. And you can tell because I go from like a bubbly, happy personality like this to like much more serious. Like, you can feel the fire, I'm sure, but it's very much like, all right, well, what can we do? We got to get this done. How are we going to make it happen? What do you need from me? Like, I'm very much solutions oriented at that moment. And then if we have a personal relationship afterwards, I might be like, dude, what the heck? What happened? Like, what's going on here? Otherwise, I'm just like, okay, thank you so much. Thanks for pulling it together with me. Bye.
Scott, you had something? Oh. There we go. I got you. I unmuted you. Yep.
Oh. Okay. I have a few tips that I share with the young entrepreneurs on the GDN when it comes to networking. First of all, going back to the business card, see that? Plastic business card stands out, okay? And if you're old school, you should be doing this, okay? Have your business card, have your face on there, have it plastic. You can even make them into Starbucks gift cards if you want to. Why do this? Because think about it. Where are you keeping your business cards? You're probably keeping it in your wallet if you're a male. And even some females have some type of wallet. They tend to get torn and tattered. So now you meet somebody you want to impress. You pull out that torn and tattered card and you hand it to this new client or a new person you want to meet. And that's a reflection of your image. So that kind of tells everybody what you think about your image when you're handing out those cards. Also, too much information is a thing on a business card. Okay, look at mine. Mine is very, very little in terms of information. See that? Boom, bingo. All right. If you can't express who you are in a face-to-face, don't try to do it on your card because you are not making an impact. Plus, if I'm in a networking event and I gather 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 cards, am I going to remember everybody's face? Probably not. But if your face is on your card, you're separating yourself. Plus, if this card is in a group of paper cards, what's going to stand out? This card. Second thing, on site. This is for you, Amanda. Every one of my young entrepreneurs, I coach them and I tell them, if you have a day off, guess what? You don't have a marketing department. You don't have a sales department. You don't have an HR department. You got nobody advocating for you. What should you be doing on your day off? You should be go taking any freaking gig you get your hands on. One of the cool things you'll see me do, and both Austin and Omar can attest to this, I work as a stagehand. I know, I was like, no, you don't. Yes, I do. Why do I work as a stagehand? Because first of all, as a leader, I need to remind myself what my counterparts go through every day. That keeps me grounded. So when I'm asking you to do something, or could you please, would you mind, I know what you're going through. Second thing is, if I walk into a labor call with my knowledge and my background, I stand out really quickly, really quickly. And the leadership team of the production company I work for, or whoever's there, they see me right away. So guess what? They go and start talking to me, and I start talking to them. Next, you know, we're making a connection. But by going out there and working, even as a stagehand, even at 250, I'm making more money there than I am sitting at home. Plus, I'm starting new relationships, starting new connections, and that branches out. Like Laura said, hey, you're on site there, you're making friends. Hell yeah, you're making friends. If you're not out there making friends, getting phone numbers, contacts, and business cards, why are you there? Okay. So don't pass up an opportunity to go out there and sell yourself. Austin, tell us a little bit about how sales have helped you.
We don't have nowhere close enough time to get into that conversation. I got 12 plus years of sales experience, and like you said, in my pinky. But I love what Iris brought up. Iris said nothing like handing someone a sweaty business card on show site. I thought that was pretty funny. So I like the fact that you brought up using a plastic card, Scott. I thought that was wise.
And they're not that expensive, guys. And the really cool thing is, invest in yourself. And even if you get those little stickers that go on the back, it's a $5 gift certificate for or gift card for Starbucks. You want to make somebody's day, give them your card, give them that, say, hey, by the way, have a coffee on me. They'll remember you, I guarantee you.
I would.
It's 9 o'clock right now, guys. I want to go a little bit over here. But Laura, before I let you go, any final words of wisdom you want to impart in the community about networking?
Absolutely. So I know talking to people, and especially people that you don't know, is not for everyone, but just try it out. Like, have a couple of sentences, like a little speech if you need to, but just try just reaching out to someone every once in a while, and just it might surprise you at how much easier it gets, because really everything is practice. Practice makes perfect, right? So reach out to people, talk to them. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and like use your own network as your starting resource. If you want to look into something, ask them who they know that you can talk to, and ask them to make that connection with you and for you. It's gonna just enrich you, and it'll enrich that person too, because the more people you know, the more we can all learn a little bit from each other, always.
I love it. I love it. That was great. Scott, you got anything you want to impart before we close out for the night?
Absolutely. If you're not doing this already, 2 things: become a Swiss Army knife and a unicorn. I don't have time to go into it at the moment because we're closing out. Basically, learn everything you can learn from AV Educate. And if you would like any assistance in learning more of the soft skills, management skills, entrepreneurial skills, join the GDN. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott, for being here. And Austin, as always, brother, please close us out, man, with some awesome words of wisdom, brother.
Not a problem. So I wanted to close this night, bringing us right back to exactly what the central topic of tonight was the power of networking. But why is networking important? I think we've covered so many different topics as to how it can benefit you in your personal life, in your personal career, and all of these different aspects. But it boils down to relationships. What are you doing with relationships? How are you communicating to build those relationships? What type of value are you bringing to those relationships? All of those are different nuggets and gems that I hope that you guys took into place tonight. Again, I always talk about being as a middle child. We always have mentors and peers that we can be learning from, as well as we have people that we can be teaching. So make sure that you take the opportunity to become a student of the game, but also make sure that you're a thought leader and you're also passing along those knowledge and those gems, because that would also make you look like a thought leader in terms of the industry. And it will also further your network. More people are going to pay attention to you. More people is going to start reaching out for advice. More people are going to start witnessing what you're doing and providing more opportunities. Networking is just as important as learning all of the hard skills of the industry. So when we talk about these soft skills, make sure that networking is something that we're paying equal amount of importance and time and attention to. All right. I'll see you guys next week. Take care.